Jon, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast. Jon, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
I fucking love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole. There are a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, Jon, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
Come on! Been a while. 8 days is too many. 8 days is too many. And the new music does take some getting used to. I'm expectant that Boston Garden Rap is going to play, and it doesn't. Oh, but it is so good. Yes, we stole that song from Anik versus Anik, the now defunct NFL podcast featuring me and my twin brother. Only so much you can hear your own voice, and when it's your own voice coming back at you, maybe time for a new show. I love you, Jay. Great to be with everybody. Tuesday, February 3rd. It is 2026. We are live. It's episode 581 of the Anik Florian podcast, powered by All the Smoke Fight, back in the United States of America. Wheels down emoji, USA emoji flag. Always feels good, Kenny. It was a jaunt, man. It's nice to see you.
I'm glad you survived, my man. And look at you with the Patriots jersey. Big week, dude. Let's go.
It is Super Bowl week. I was just going to wear the jersey and not talk about it. My kids are invested now, and they understand the betting line a little bit, and they understand that the Patriots, at least on paper, are expected to lose. They're not going to lose, but they're expected to lose. If you're listening in Attleboro, Massachusetts, they're not going to lose. We have a lot to get to today. Excuse my voice. What a planes, trains, and automobiles situation,
Jeez.
Right? Gratitude, right, is the buzzword, right, in 2026, of course, and in any year. We're supposed to lean into that, but the road is not glamorous. Of that, I can assure you, folks. Coming up today, we will have a Ray Longo minute here if he answers the bell in 58 minutes. I don't know what he's doing so late that he can't get his 8 hours and be up at a normal time. You know, the new time zone for the Anik Florian podcast is going to be noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on a Monday. And it was almost like Ray's choice, right? If I can peel back the fucking curtain for you for a second, and Kenny knows this, we were going to go 10 a.m. or noon, and it's like, let's ask Ray, right? Because we revolved the whole show around Ray Longo, the star of the Anik Florian podcast. So he won't hear this, but we will be at noon heretofore on a Monday. So we will also talk to MMA analyst Dan Tom. He has a keen eye for this stuff, and there's just a lot to unpack when it comes to the UFC 325 main event. In my mind, got a little bit spirited in our pre-show meeting, so I'm excited to get into all these things with Ken Flo. And back end of the show, we will get into Lock Dog Vinicius Oliveira and Mario Bautista. I crack a smile because this main event is just insane. I know I get hyperbolic and say, you know, Umar Nurmagomedov is top 15 pound for pound, but I kind of feel like Mario Bautista, Kenny, is top 18 pound for pound fighter in the world. So I'm really excited for the main event. Last week's show was crazy. First show with all the smoke, of course, and just very grateful for this entire team. We had 6 guests, and I will say amidst all the noise, I was remiss in my oversight in not thanking Brian Petrie, our handicapper over the last several years, who contributed a lot of great things to this show. We appreciate him. He brought a lot to the table. I know our listeners miss him. Hopefully we'll continue to follow his content on the other side. We love you, BP, and I just want to get that out there off the top of the show. But a lot to get into today, and let us get to it in headlines.
Headlines.
It's time for headlines.
I have some very urgent and important breaking news.
Headlines.
On the Jon, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast.
So when we do headlines after a pay-per-view, or in this case, numbered event in Australia, I always lead with the fans, right? And Kenny, you've experienced this. And Brisbane Entertainment Center back in 2013, we call what is ubiquitously regarded as the greatest heavyweight fight in UFC history, Antonio Bigfoot Silva and Mark Hunt. You know, the UFC has since outgrown the Brisbane Entertainment Center, and that's one of the reasons why we aren't in Brisbane anymore. But you know how much these fans appreciate the open workouts and the press conference and everything else, and warm embrace as usual. These people are just nuts for this.
The Australian fans are some of the best in the world, no question about it. Just how educated they are in the sport, and their knowledge goes deep. as far as the fighters and the history of the UFC and everything in between. They have some great martial artists and fighters that have come out of that country. So I imagine 2026, it must have been nuts, John.
So I was waiting for my car to go to the airport, and I have kids coming up to me, right? I had a 10-year-old come up to me, and he came up to me, shook my hand. He's like, his parents own a bakery, right? I got kids dropping my commentary lines to me on the street, right? I did have another boy, 14 or so, come up to me and say both of these fighters have custody battles involved in their families on the street. This is a true story.
Dude,
yeah,
that's amazing.
It was a lot. It was amazing. So, and I promise you we're going to get into the fights, but I had an appearance at a pre-fight dinner the night before, and oftentimes maybe it's shorter than this one was. So I found myself having to sort of be a comedian for the first time in my life, right? So I did like 10 or 15 minutes on stage. I talked about the fights, and you know me, I'm trying to lean into the comedy anyway. And my language obviously is foul, but in Australia, that certainly flies.
They appreciate it. Yeah.
So I got a room full of people, and I have Michael Bisping, Joshua Van, and Carlos Prates coming up in about 45 minutes or so. But I'm leading this pre-fight dinner up until dinner, and I'm working the room with a microphone, you know? And so, I'm throwing everything out there. We're talking about Mauricio Hoofy. I'm saying, he used to be Roofy. And then I'm like, anybody in the room been roofied before? And then some dude raised his hand, so I went and interviewed the guy who had been roofied, and I got his thoughts on that experience. But work in the room, and then I was to land around 8 p.m. local time and coordinate this marriage proposal, which I guess went off. I don't know if it went off without a hitch. I was trying to not get in the way. The guy sort of was like, "Oh, I was waiting for you." And I was like, "Dude, I'm trying to fucking, execute." I mean, I wasn't nervous when I showed up for the appearance until they told me I was going to be navigating a marriage proposal. Man. And actually, at one point they said, if you could get her under the light here. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? I got to get her under the light, But she said yes. He was a little bit frozen. So, he said, "Will you marry me?" I think it was Aaron and Kylie. And she said yes. And all's well that ends well. All's well that ends well is not the thesis statement for Diego Lopez. Alexander Volkanovski and still begins the second reign as UFC featherweight champion in style. 50-45 times 1, 49-46 times 2 in the rematch with Diego Lopez, who was no match for the Volkman. Ken Flo, I had it 50-45. Your thoughts on Volkanovski's outstanding performance in front of a very grateful crowd in Sydney?
This was yet another dominant performance from the champion. I actually thought Diego got off to a better start. He looked like he was more in tune with the fight. The problem is he still wasn't able to cut off the cage and trap Volk at all. Now, why is that? Everyone talks about, cutting off the cage, but that involves two very important things. It involves defensive skills and it involves footwork. Those are two things that take the most amount of time. This is why it was so confusing to me of why Diego decided to take this rematch on such short notice. Well, relative short notice, I guess, in relation to their first fight. This takes years to develop, okay? And in my opinion, it was a strange decision. And he's not fighting Joe Schmo from the regional circuit. He's fighting Alexander freaking Volkanovski, the greatest 145-pounder, in my opinion, in UFC history. So I think that was the issue right there. It takes sophistication. And when you're talking about sophistication, it takes time. It takes at least a few camps to learn. And as talented as Diego Lopez is, it's still going to take way more time.
Is time all it's going to take, right? I mean, sometimes it's just acceptance that you might not be as good an athlete as the other man, right?
That's true.
Volk retires, the combination of skill and will be enough for Diego Lopez. I feel like I need to preface some of my comments today because I have so much respect and love for Diego Lopez and Jason House and Iridium. And but I just thought this was not great, man. And I didn't think the first fight was great. If I could go to the scorecards, the first fight, right? At least one judge saw every 5 minute sequence for Volk, right? There wasn't a 50-45 in the first fight, but every judge had at least round 1 or round 2, 3, 4, or 5 for Volk, one of the three. And in this case, you had a 50-45, right? So therein lies an argument, not mine necessarily, that Volk beat Diego Lopez in all 10 rounds. You can argue, Kenny, that Volk won all 10 rounds of this 2 fights.
Yes.
And if you don't want to hear it from me, just go look at the scorecards. And if you don't like judges, well, they put in a lot of time and they're pretty good overall, all things considered. So what do you have for me on that? And the fact that guys like Luke Thomas and others suggest that, this fight maybe competitively should not have happened right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think we talked about this on the last show a little bit. And, the ability to be adaptable is a superpower in mixed martial arts. The ability to have multiple tools in your tool belt and to be able to use it at a very high level. And Volkanovski is that guy who can be adaptable. Not to mention the incredible amount of experience that you have. So, if you're not able to win on land, you take the fight to the sea. And if you can't win on the sea, you take the fight to the air. And that's exactly what Volkanovski is capable of doing. And I think it confused Lopez on what he was supposed to do in regards to attacking Volkanovski. The other thing I think that was extremely impressive and that Volkanovski is always going to have in his back pocket is his wrestling offense and defense. He can thwart your takedown offense. And if you are going to come forward, he's going to be able to take you down or at least have the threat of the takedown, which shut off I think Lopez from being as aggressive as he wanted to be. And in fact, I think it was after round 1 that Lopez went back to his corner and said, I need to respect those takedowns. I still need to respect those takedowns of Volkanovski. So you knew that was in the back of his head. And that was not a great sign after round 1, in my opinion.
Lot to unpack there. Lopez had a couple of moments. He did drop Volk. It was the quickest recovery in UFC history in terms of what kind of knockdown I think it was. Volk recovered with immediacy. What do you make of Lopez maybe having too much fun, right? This is not a game, and I'm a fan foremost, I guess, even though it's hard professionally, and I hate to be too critical, but sometimes I feel like having a little bit too much fun in there, and, these opportunities, just don't come every day, and fun shouldn't be anywhere near your frontal cortex.
It's tough because I feel like everyone competes differently. You could argue that maybe, Lopez was taking it too seriously or making the event much bigger than it was in the first fight. And in an attempt to kind of let his fight flow or let his game plan flow a little better, he wanted to kind of stay loose and relax. So it's hard. I think at the end of the day, what you mentioned earlier was probably the truth, and that Volkanovski was the better athlete, the better fighter overall. And it almost doesn't matter what kind of attitude or approach you take mentally or even tactically. At the end of the day, you need the skills. You need those extra things to be able to utilize them, and he just didn't have it. And that's the problem with having that immediate rematch when in the first fight it really wasn't. I guess you could say it was competitive, but it wasn't so close when it comes to the scorecards, as you mentioned again. And I think we saw that same result because of that.
Fight of the night, it was not. It was awarded as such. I don't know that there would have been another obvious candidate. I thought there was some excitement on the early prelims. I think you could make an argument, I guess, for Jonathan McAuliffe and Oban Elliott. That had some back and forth a little bit, but fight of the night does go to Volk and Diego Lopez. And I promise you we're going to live in and celebrate Volk here in a little bit. By the way, Ken Flo, what do you think the price is right now? DraftKings Sportsbook. Alexander Volkanovski to end 2026 as UFC featherweight champion. December 31st, 2026, Alexander Volkanovski ends the year as undisputed UFC featherweight champion. Plus 150 right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. Hey, don't close the YouTube video. It can go on your cellular telephone.
Interesting.
What do you think about that, Ken Flo?
That is very interesting. I think, why is that? Are they seeing some kind of decline in Volkanovski's skills, perhaps? Maybe a little bit. Maybe, that shot that he took against Lopez maybe was a shot that he maybe wouldn't have taken maybe a year or two ago. Or are they thinking maybe the Topuria fight has taken, on a little bit too much for Volkanovski? He's been fighting a little bit too long. I don't know. I would give him a pretty good chance of holding on to it. I think when you look at Evloev, I think he's a very interesting challenge just based on his grappling skills and what he brings to the table with his pressure and all that. I think Lerone Murphy is going to be a threat, but I could definitely see Volkanovski holding on to that belt at the end of 2026, depending on, if he takes those next 2 fights, if it's 2 fights or 1 fight. I'm high on him. Perhaps there's a little bit of decline in regards to speed, but the intelligence, the execution is still there. And I think the hunger is still there, more importantly.
And we're going to lean into that for a second, but to put a bow on the plus 150, I guess the reason I think there's value baked in there is because part of the reason you're getting that price is because he's going to compete. I think the bookmakers are pretty convicted in that he's going to compete at least once, if not twice, right? Even if it's an absolute war between Movsar Evloev and Lerone Murphy, and that winner can't compete again in 2026, Volk's going to fight, right? And he's going to fight maybe at 38. I think he turns 38 in September, right? So he's going to be the older man in almost any equation, but I think there's a lot of fight left in that dog, and I don't know that he, I just think that Volk has so much heart and will that he could take a lot of punishment if he needs to in one of these fights coming up. Like now he hasn't taken really any appreciable punishment in 2 fights. I'm sure he took much more in sparring.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you get to this level without being an absolute savage competitor and a maniac in training, right? And we've all heard about how he trains. He is maniacal in how he approaches the fight game. His consistency has been absolutely insane. The level of competition has been incredible. So, yeah, I mean, I'm always going to lean on the side of Volk if I need to make a wager, but he's an absolute beast. And again, this was another tremendous performance.
The trite phraseology is what hindsight is 2020. I don't even know what that means, right? Honestly, I truly don't. But there were a lot of people who were critical of this matchmaking, and there are a lot of reasons why Diego Lopez got this fight. You can look no further than him fighting Dan Ige and a lot of the things that we established on the show last week. But, he goes over to Sydney, and he's such an amazing soldier for the promotion, and everybody loves him, and he will do absolutely anything for media in multiple languages. And he's an amazing star around which to build, right? But Movsar fucking Evloev, man, and I can't tell you, Kenny, why Diego Lopez has competed 8 or so times since UFC 288 when he fought Movsar, and Movsar's only competed twice. But it's exciting that Movsar's getting a main event, presumably here against Lerone Murphy. I think, yes, that has been announced for March. But, there are myriad reasons why, there was fan uproar about this fight. And, 50 to 45 was well forecast by a lot of people.
Yeah, obviously there's the idea of giving someone that opportunity based on merit. And I think both Lerone Murphy and especially so with Movsar Evloev, that they've deserved it, based on what they've done. Then there's the other side of it, the promotional side, the business side of things, where it's like, does the UFC want Evloev to have that belt? And you look at someone like Merab Dvalishvili, who, of course, is now a legitimate star. I think there was some hesitancy around him getting that initial shot, right? I think he probably could have gotten a lot earlier. They waited on a heck of a lot of consistency from Merab before they gave him that shot, and perhaps they're doing that same thing here with Evloev and making him absolutely earn this shot. But he definitely has his hands full in Lerone Murphy, who is one of the best athletes at 145 pounds. This guy is known as a striker, but he is very difficult to take down. He's very fast, and I think they're doing the right thing here in really determining that next contender or the next guy who's going to fight for that belt. And, I think it's going to be a fantastic fight, a very interesting one at the very least.
Thanks, everybody, joining us live. Anik Florian podcast powered by All the Smoke Fight. Top 5 UFC moment for me, Ken Flo. This particular Alexander Volkanovski walkout in Sydney. He hadn't fought there since 2017. Everybody sang every word of Men at Work,
awesome.
Down Under. And oftentimes in unison, people will say, it's time with Bruce Buffer, right? But this time around, they all said, Alexander. and went through the whole thing with him, and it was just powerful. The walkout was truly like a rock concert. You know, Robert Whitaker was back in the Vegas studio thinking, what on God's green earth am I doing at the Meta Apex right now, missing out on this? So perhaps I buried the lead in not sort of talking about Volkanovski's walkout because it was absolutely exceptional. I guess the fight just maybe didn't necessarily put the capstone on the week that you would have liked, but it was one of the most festive, amazing fight weeks UFC 325 was that I've ever experienced. You think I'm being hard on the fight? What's the problem?
No, I think it was awesome, and the fact that Volkanovski enjoyed the hell out of that walkout as well, and I saw that as a great sign. Like he was walking out, I was like, this guy has experienced hell in training. I just knew, like walking out, he's like, I am so freaking ready for this right now. Like he was smiling all the way, just really taking it all in, and I think also a part of that, perhaps knowing that he's at the end of his career and knowing that he probably doesn't have too many times that he's going to fight in his home country again and making the most out of it and enjoying it. I love seeing that. Volkanovski's so likable. So was Lopez. But to see that, you're like, man, this is one I'm going to try to take in as well. Hearing everybody sing that, you guys must have been enjoying the hell out of that.
When you look at Volk on the stool, they're trying to keep him present in terms of their messaging. These amazing coaches, Joe Lopez and the great Brad Riddell. And yet Volk, even though they don't want him looking at the screen, he's trying to see exactly where there might have been a mistake. And I don't even think it was the knockdown necessarily, because I think the corner even suggested that maybe that was a slip. You know, he did get clipped there, no doubt. But
yeah.
He reminds me of George St. Pierre in terms of the mistake-free stuff, even if GSP didn't have as much fun maybe walking out necessarily.
Yes, absolutely, man.
I have so much respect for Alexander Volkanovski. I did think it was interesting to see that he's a sweater in terms of he's like a profuse sweater. I don't know if you saw that, the fight dietitian, my friend Jordan, on Instagram, right? But yeah, I mean, I feel like now I really feel like I can make flyweight because I sweat. You know, in the snow. So
that's good. You need that if you need to cut weight, dude. I didn't really have that. So yeah, it takes me a lot to get sweaty. But,
so Alexander Volkanovski, first Australian-born UFC champion. Robert Whitaker, I think, born in Middlemore, New Zealand, but moved to Australia when he was very young. But this Alexander Volkanovski, Kenny, as a sportsman, and if you don't know, if you are perhaps part of our newer audience, this man gave up a career as a rugby league player. He was a Warilla gorilla. He weighed 214 pounds. What a fucking monster, right? Goddamn fire hydrant built like a backyard shed. So he gave that up to pursue this, and now he has a ton of money, a farm, an empire that he is building, cooking with Volk and all the different cornerstones. And he is essentially, Kenny, Australia's foremost sportsman at this point in time. They couldn't have a better ambassador for sport than him. I mean, he's a true king. Like we talk about Jose Aldo as the king of Rio, a city, and Jose certainly extends to the country, but bro, this guy's number one in a nation that lives for this stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a likable guy, and to see again that level of consistency in the UFC is extremely rare. And this isn't a country like the United States, which has, you know, all these massive gyms all over the place in all the big cities where, you know, MMA has been around for a lot longer and all that stuff. Like, you know, the fact that Volkanovski was able to be this big star and have this much success in a country like Australia is just awesome to see. And he's got the charisma, he's got the personality, and he hasn't done it by being, you know, this guy who has talked trash. He's done it the right way and authentically. And it's great to see people like that succeed, man.
All right. So, Ken Flo, do you have any pets?
I do.
Can you tell the audience, please?
I have a dog named Simba. He is a pit bull. He's a goofy dog. And yeah, just a dog, man. Just one.
Okay. So no hamsters or
no.
Gerbils. So my daughter Tatum has a hamster, I think it is. They live, I think, 18 to 30 months on average, right?
Oh, wow. That's short. Yeah. Damn.
All right. So, Kenny, to save my daughter's hamster, if you had to send one featherweight We populated the rankings for you. If you had to send one featherweight in there to beat Alexander Volkanovski, is it as simple as Movsar Evloev? I mean, Jean Lord Silva has a lot of skills. I do think somebody might send him in there. Yair Rodriguez has fought Volk. Aljamain Sterling, I think, is an interesting name that I think a lot of people might. I mean, that's a fascinating fight for me. I know there are a lot of haters in this mixed martial arts space, but you could book that fight right now, and I would have no problem with that with respect to Movsar. Movsar Evloev, and that's not a Longo bias at all. That's really just that he's a former champion and he has realized success in the second division. Kenny, I'm stalling for you. Movsar Evloev, Lerone Murphy. I know you're not sending Diego Lopez in there. Because the hamster would suffer an ill fate.
Can I send the 145-pound version of Piotr Jan that beat Merab Dvalishvili? Maybe that guy? No. I mean, first of all, it takes that amount of versatility and execution to beat someone like Volkanovski. However, I will say Movsar Evloev brings a game similar, to the guy who, beat Volkanovski, obviously, at 155 pounds. And I think that wrestling style, that high pressure, that conditioning is a style that can really pose some problems for Volkanovski. Now, I think, striking wise, Evloev's got to be careful. He certainly doesn't carry that same level of experience. But I do think that he has the wrestling and grappling that can thwart a lot of the offense and shut down and quiet down Volkanovski tremendously.
Kenny Hamster Killer Florian.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you think he's dead, huh? Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
No.
At Anik Florian Pod, question of the week at Anik Florian Pod. To save my daughter Tatum's hamster cookie, right? Gerbils are bigger. So to save my daughter's hamster, what featherweight are you sending in there to try to beat Alexander Volkanovski? I think for me, in my hamster saving mood, I would probably send Aljo in there because maybe he could catch an RNC. That's not crazy, is it, Kenny?
No, I mean, he certainly has much better finishing ability than someone like Evloev. Takedown, does he have the takedown ability to stop someone like Volkanovski? Potentially. I think that's where it would come down to, for me, is his wrestling good enough to consistently take down Volkanovski and get to his back? I think as far as finishing, he would probably have a better chance than Evloev.
Yeah. So much to discuss when it comes to UFC 325. We'll continue on this path with Ray Longo and Dan Tom coming up. So some interesting questions asked by these Australian fans, and it sort of is a segue to Benoit Saint-Denis. One of the questions that was asked of Carlos Prates and Joshua Van, who did this appearance with me. If you were in a street fight, which other rostered UFC fighters, you can name two, would you bring with you? And my goodness, man, I know they weren't probing me, but I would be taking Benoit Saint-Denis and somebody else with me into the streets of any foreign city. Benoit Saint-Denis in the co-main event over Dan Hooker by TKO, 4 straight finishes now, I believe, for Benoit Saint-Denis. What an absolute freak, Kenny. I'm sort of glad that you're not fighting this guy in your 155-pound prime. My God.
Gosh, man, it wasn't the best of starts for Benoit Saint-Denis, but what he did indicate very quickly to Dan Hooker was, this is a style that is going to be suffering. This is how I'm going to fight you, and I'm not going to go away until you are finished. Like, the chaos that he brings in to the octagon is just unbelievable. He came forward with his typical high pressure style. I was a little concerned on some of those level changes where he was kind of telegraphing a little bit, but it didn't matter. Even through, the guillotine attacks that Dan Hooker was very intelligently employing, once you got past that first layer, and so many times in a fight, you'll see things that are a little bit close, but once you break through those layers and you peel those layers back a little bit, that's where you find out how good a fighter really is. And Benoit Saint-Denis, once he got by that first layer of that guillotine defense, it was all over for Dan Hooker. It was just superior positioning, brutal ground and pound. Dan Hooker just did not have an answer. And Hooker, we know about his competitiveness and how much he wants to go out there and finish his opponents, but it wasn't enough. Benoit Saint-Denis is so impressive to watch because he's not the best athlete in the world. He's not the most technical fighter in the world. But boy, is he an absolute savage. He is in there to kill or be killed, period.
Yeah, I mean, he sort of understands that about his disposition, that instinctually sometimes that predator takes over and he's just willing to walk through fire. And yeah, you can separate a man from consciousness and get a referee stoppage that maybe is early, but this is an absolute tried and true warrior, French special forces operator, supreme. He started training in MMA, if you don't know, to try to become a better Navy SEAL, so to speak. You know, that's why he started on this MMA path. And I don't know, Kenny, if I'm a lightweight, I mean, he's the opposite of a picnic showing up in your bracket. I mean, how far can he take this thing? He's big for the weight class, right? We know there is an 165-pound weight class where he might presumably reside. So everything really does have to be perfect when it comes to the weight cut. He has a committed coach in Nicholas Ott, and they've realized great results together. Again, we populated the lightweight rankings because we'd like to give you all resources at your disposal. I mean, how far can he be the undisputed lightweight champion?
I do not think so. I do not think so, just because of how good the other athletes are at the top. When you're talking about guys like, Arman Tsarukyan and Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway, those are guys that kind of have all of those different elements of being a technician, being a great athlete, having a ton of experience. So I think Benoit Saint-Denis, can be a star. I think he can be a guy that the UFC can rely on delivering exciting fights. I think he can be a threat to some of those guys, but do I think he can be a champion in that division? No, not because of, him necessarily. I just think that the other guys in this division are just so damn good. But yeah, I think he's so much fun to watch.
You think Gaethje knocks him out?
The way he matches up against someone like Gaethje would be interesting because both those guys like that chaos, right? So there's a little bit of recklessness involved in that fight, where, with that volatility, you're not quite sure which way it's going to go. I think he's certainly good enough to take Gaethje down and submit him, but I also think Gaethje's good enough to catch him on some of those, reckless level changes and telegraphing of his takedowns where Gaethje can put him out as well. So that would be a really fun fight if they could put together something like that in the future. Yeah.
All right, we'll see how it all shakes out. Of course, Ilia Topuria's return seemingly should be imminent. And I mean, there's 3 belts in this division right now.
It's crazy.
So, and I really wish for Max Holloway that he would get a chance to fight for the undisputed lightweight championship, because I do think potentially his fight with Ilia Topuria up 10 pounds could be a little bit different. But you wonder what it's like for Max Holloway defending a BMF belt versus, say, a Tom Aspinall defending an interim championship, And I guess I talk out of both sides of my mouth, not to get too off track, when I suggest that the interim belt should be silver, and yet it means everything in the world. It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. What does that even mean? That stupid ass phrase. You can't have your cake and eat it too. No, do you know what that means? What does that mean?
I guess you can't have all the things, I don't know.
Have it and eat it? Like what?
Yeah, they can give it to you, but you can't eat it. I don't know.
There got to be better sayings than that. Let us get to Mauricio Hoofy in the context of this lightweight division, Ken Flo. Performance of the night. How about Mauricio Hoofy? He was a little under the weather, too. What a performance.
It was an amazing performance. And also, I guess he lost his brother a few days prior to the fight as well. I mean, that is a lot to deal with. And I think he seemed a little bit off to start the fight. How much that had to do with the things going outside of the cage, or how much of those, had to do with physique moving forward, I don't know. But, there's 2 types of pressure that you can bring in a fight. There's a couple anyway. I think spatial pressure, of closing that gap, of being close to your opponent and not letting him move, similar to what we were talking about in the main event as far as cutting off the cage. And then there's offensive pressure. And a lot of times those two things should go together. They don't always go together, but they should go together. And Fiziev lacked the offensive pressure. He was taking away the space from Hoofy, but he wasn't bringing multiple combinations and striking and, really not letting Hoofy just off the hook there. Like, Hoofy was uncomfortable with that spatial pressure, but eventually he was able to figure out Fiziev. And that's ultimately what led to Fiziev's downfall. Fiziev was doing great when he was attacking the calf kicks, when he was attacking the body, but Hoofy eventually found his jab, which was able to diffuse a lot of that pressure, and ultimately he started to find that nasty right hand. That pull counter, my goodness, it's a thing of beauty. And once he was landing that, he's like, okay, I got this. I figured it out. And it was only a matter of time for Fiziev getting knocked out.
The jab, too, I was thinking about you, Ken Flo. I mean, Hoofy really committed to that jab early, and it was a powerful force in the fight. He must have been at City Kickboxing in Auckland, New Zealand at some point in time because his UFC bio said as much. I know he spent time at Joe Lopez's freestyle fighting gym alongside Alexander Volkanovski, but there are a lot of people, just good human beings like Caio Borralho, who I think seem very accepting of what Mauricio Hoofy did. At one point, I think Borralho was part of the group that recruited Mauricio Hoofy to the Fighting Nerds. But, sometimes as a fighter, you have to make hard decisions, Kenny. And I know that was your reality when you went to Firas Zahabi late in your career, right? I mean, sometimes you just have to exhaust all resources. And it seems like Hoofy, he said at the press conference, Australia is now home. It seems like he's going to root his life there. And so far, this is a pretty good result, in terms of that decision, right? I mean, nobody beats Fiziev like this.
If you want to be the best in the world, John, and I'm glad you brought this up, you have to train with whoever it is that's going to make you better as a fighter, period. No one has a monopoly on information, on all the information of like how to get better and what you can employ. And some things are going to work for you and some things aren't. And you have to go out and seek that knowledge no matter what. If it's in Brazil, the United States, Australia, wherever it is, you need to go and get it. No one's just going to hand you that stuff. You go out and find the people that are experts in their domain or specialists, and you go out and train with them. We talked about this with Ian Gary, going out and training with those guys, the Fight Nerds, or Damian Maya for jiu-jitsu, or, traveling around is such an advantage because you see so much more as well. So I think it's great that Hoofy went out there, spent some time with, a camp, obviously, that has a champion in Volkanovski, and, training with Volkanovski, I think you're going to learn some stuff. So I thought Hoofy looked fantastic once he got into his groove. I think he'll look even better in the future because of it. And I know he mentioned he's going to go back to the Fight Nerds, but it's good to see, man. This is a true martial artist, and that's what martial artists do. They travel to where the information is.
So when it comes to matchmaking right now, oftentimes fights are talked about in the context of Sunday, June 14th, the White House card. But we're not really going to do that, just in terms of the matchmaking. And in an idealistic world, maybe 3 or 4 months down the line, right? There are so many great matchups for Mauricio Hoofy. I guess if you're talking White House, Conor McGregor's in the mix. If you're not talking White House, I find it hard to believe that Conor's going to fight on any other date. And you could do worse than Mauricio Hoofy versus a guy that in some respects is like looking in the mirror in Conor McGregor, right, Kenny? But if you look at this lightweight division, what do you think for Mauricio Hoofy? And I guess not unlike the Benoit Saint-Denis question, how does he stack up with the Gaethjes, the Sarukyans, the Paddy Pimblett fight that he injected into the equation, Mateusz Gamrot? I mean, I feel like his ceiling was super high, took a hit. This was a really responsive effort. How competitive is he, I guess, relative to Benoit Saint-Denis in terms of his lightweight ceiling?
So I think Hoofy is a special kind of athlete. I think he has been gifted with some tremendous athleticism, the way that he moves, his size in that division. He's not small either, by the way, for a 155-pounder. And yeah, his timing on his shots is also very unusual. His vision to be able to find the chin like that. It's it's A class for sure. There's no question about that. I think for him, the thing that he would need to improve the most, and this is coming off his last fight from against Benoit Saint-Denis, would be his wrestling. I think the next place he should go to is spend some time in the Midwest, go and train with some wrestlers, and just hone in on that takedown defense, and also hone in on his guard, his ability to get back to his feet, his ability to maybe be offensive off of his back as well. And of course, he can do that in his home country of Brazil. But I think his wrestling is the thing that I would like to see improved for a couple reasons. First of all, to keep the fight on his feet where he has the best advantage. It would add more confidence to those striking counters that he possesses, which is rare. And also, I think it would help his mindset as far as dealing with that insane conditioning that is required to be a high-level wrestler, dealing with that pressure. So I think if he's able to do that, I think he could be, this is a guy that I think actually could be a champion in that division. As good as that division is, I think he can definitely be a champ, but it's going to take some technical work for sure.
Yeah. Well laid out as usual by Kenny Florian. All right. Now joining us on the guest line. Great to have this guy with us for the first time in a long time. Very insightful mind when it comes to this mixed martial arts stuff. And he's been on the mat himself. Yeah, give him the center screen right there. Mixed martial arts analyst, MMA Junkie USA Today, home of Fight Dan Tom. Good to see you, DT. How we doing?
Dude, good to see you guys talking about the card. You guys are reading my mind here and saying a lot of the things I had in my mind, but it's just a great appreciation to be here with you guys. Thank you for the invite.
My man. So main event, Alexander Volkanovski. There was a 50-45 out there. Largely, I saw it that way. And this hasn't really been the most competitive two-fight series from my vantage point. I think we're simultaneously trying to celebrate Volk and also sort of assess Diego and be critical. I mean, Diego leads the league in will. He goes to Stillwater, Oklahoma for a month during every training camp to work on his wrestling. Sweat equity doesn't even begin to describe it, but certainly not the desired result. So I'm curious what you thought of, Diego's effort, I think specifically in terms of trying to close the gap in this rematch.
Yeah, I agree with the 50-45 scorecards. I'm not too big of a fan. I know he got caught with a short right hand that stunned him briefly, did Volk in round 3. But round 3 was an action-heavy round that, I saw more visible reactions from Diego Lopez than Volkanovski. So I appreciate that opinion of yours, as well as the scorecards that matter, right, John? And I'm not too big of a fan of, which, they'll tell you, I've done the judging programs before, and they'll, have you adjudicate a round. And, whether it's, Jason McDonald or Kevin McDonald or whoever, they'll stop you in your tracks and be like, they'll stop you right there if you say, oh, he stole the round, right? With a single shot, because we use that term a lot, but the judges actually go against that, which I appreciate, by the way, because, it's more of a body of work thing. I know, especially Kenny, I'm probably preaching to the choir here. There's a lot of shots that you pick up or perhaps other people pick up and you're like, nah, not so much. And if a round swings on just one of those strikes, we can get into a real slippery slope. But that's another discussion for later. Thankfully, the judges were pretty in lockstep as far as that fight goes. As far as Diego Lopez goes, he's in that Rich Franklin territory, right? A little reference for our times there, where you lose 0-2 to the champ, puts you in a tough spot. Now, Lopez has looked great. I second all the things you guys were saying about the wrestling, his camps. And he certainly had enough time to rehydrate, so the weight didn't look like an issue. However, I tend to look at that canary in the coal mine with these tall, lankier guys, and Lopez, as you guys know, is huge. And I've kind of pictured him at 155 in the future. Part of me wanted to see him against Justin Gaethje for some reason. I know that probably won't happen. But you guys were just mentioning Mauricio Hufi, and I'm like, there's a fight right there. A little maybe rematch for his buddy John Silva. I know that, the training camp things are a little tricky now that you guys laid out. But I don't want to push Diego Lopez any which way, guys. But did the 155 thought come into your guys' mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think a reset would make a whole lot of sense. He certainly has the frame to be able to put on more muscle, and you wonder if that's going to, add to the energy that he brings on fight night, either that much more. Dan, I'm curious about, what you thought of the foot breaks. Apparently, he broke both of his feet. Do you think that had anything to do with it, as far as maybe his lack of pressure later on in the fight, or, because to me it seemed like he was kind of just following the same game plan as the last fight?
It's tough. Those you want to give credit to, Volkanovski for his checks, obviously, which is another thing that kind of annoys me with stats. Like he looked like Jose Aldo out there, right, with the way he was checking the leg kicks. And you go and watch some of Jose Aldo's fights, even later career, and you'll see that like the statisticians are giving credit for those leg kicks when they are arguably hurting the person that checks more, right? Back to those, throwing back to you, Kenny, as far as those little intricacies of martial arts, right, that maybe don't translate to a sports-friendly, statistic-friendly zone. But as far as the footwork goes, I got to kind of maybe lay some criticism on the camp. I'm not sure I saw too many adjustments outside of the southpaw to try to cut off certain exits. Of course, I do want to give certain tactical credits there. But I don't know how much Diego still trains with that Lobo gym, but we've seen some kind of, strategic and some footwork errors kind of come out of that gym, whether it was Alexa Grasso's adjustments down the stretch against Shevchenko. And I'm a big Arena Aldana fan, guys, but look at her against Holly Holm as far as southpaw footwork and strategy. She was essentially just trying to chase the outside angle and ran herself in a circle. I'm sure you've seen that in the gym, Kenny, guys trying to stay out of your power lane as a southpaw. But, Aldana was essentially just running around the circle. And I noticed that maybe cagecraft could be a potential issue. A lot of camps have positive and negative trends. Not that I try to focus on the negative, but I keep tabs of those. And man, part of me prognosticating Lopez's chances, I was looking at the adjustments from, people in his orbit, and I haven't quite seen those yet. So I'm not sure what their plan was, to be honest.
Dan Tom with us here live on the Anik Florian podcast at Dan Tom MMA. So the rematch sort of is what it is, and Volkanovski realizing further greatness, 37 years of age. We mentioned earlier, right now he is plus 150 on DraftKings Sportsbook to end 2026 as the undisputed UFC featherweight champion. He's going to fight at least once, if not twice more. I mean, there's a lot of prize fighter ingrained within this individual. We have the Movsar Evloev, Lerone Murphy main event, and in theory, the winner of that would be of an competitive nature for a quick turnaround. How do you handicap a potential title fight for Volk in defense against either one of those individuals?
It is tough. I've been a big naysayer of the age, maybe because I'm getting older, guys. I'm a man, I'm 40. So I'm kind of like, back off the old guys a little bit. Volk's proven himself. Look what he did at 37 and all that. However, I got to be honest, guys, if we fast forward and me, breaking down this fight, in the future, I'm probably going to be leaning into the age analytics that most MMA gamblers, kind of get to messing on with. They're like, oh, this guy's old, he's done. And you know what? There is no biological free lunches you have to worry about there. And of course, Evloev and Lerone Murphy, two completely different fighters. So no detailed breakdown for that. But man, two legitimate threats in their own right that both have pathways to potentially beat Volkanovski, not necessarily by a devastating KO by one of the pound-for-pound greats either, which is, the pathway to beating Volk in recent years. But, yeah, I would not be surprised to see him, again, either slightly favored or flip to an underdog against either of these guys to match those year-end odds, John.
So in terms of the next fight for Volk against the winner of that fight, I would suggest that Volk should be a favorite, however slight, against either one of those guys. And I have no problem if people suggest that Movsar Evloev, if he beats Lerone, would be the favorite. He'd be the undefeated fighter. He'd be the younger fighter. But I asked Kenny, like, if you had to send a featherweight in there, right, I think Kenny would send Movsar Evloev. I guess for me, if I had to send somebody in there, I would probably right now, just as a fan answering a question I didn't expect to answer today, send Aljo in there, because I think he's the guy who's got the best chance, if he can get a dominant position, to actually finish the fight, So who do you think is the guy, if you had to send one guy in there to beat Volk, that has the best chance? Movsar?
I feel like Movsar would be your deserved favorite if we were to put like the top 5 choices in the odds. I think Movsar is number 1. So anybody picking that, not silly. I would probably go with the quiet number 2, which is Lerone Murphy, just because I believe he does have more of that stand-up edge. And Volkanovski, kind of similar to guys like Holloway or, wow, this is a really wild reach, but shout out to your guy, Brian Stan, for breaking down Derek Lewis so accurately, where some guys do better against grapplers, right? And you look at their records and quietly do poorly against strikers. And I feel like Volkanovski, even Holloway, everyone was worried about Ortega back in the day with Holloway. We saw tight lines there. but these guys are really good anti-grapplers, and was just listening to an interview with Colby Thickness talking about how excited he is to see Volk perhaps in an anti-grappling matchup next. So I would actually maybe go Lerone Murphy for a flyer there.
Dan, do you see any physical decline at Volkanovski at all?
A little bit from, a little bit from perhaps speed, which tends to go right in the lighter weight classes. Cardio, not too much of a problem, which is also why I leaned off the Mavzar side. A lot of the times gas tanks will also start to go, even the better gas tanks. And when you get older, did not see that from Volk. And I heard he had a shoulder injury, by the way, folks. Speaking of Colby Thickness was saying he had a shoulder injury. He was battling through camp and wanted to grapple more, which I predicted in my prediction. So I felt a little less crazy about that. But apparently, aside from the turbulence and the solid defense that we got to credit Lopez for, he didn't feel like pushing after that because of apparently a shoulder injury. So I don't want to judge Volk too harshly if he was out there winning at, not optimal conditions.
I wanted to ask you both, if I could, about Taliesin Teixeira and Tai Tuivasa. I guess just in the context of both athletes gassing a little bit or a lot of bit, because sometimes I feel like the heavyweights deserve the benefit of the doubt, and it's just a lot of weight to move around. And certainly these guys both do work hard. I can't tell you exactly how disciplined and how hard they work, but Dan, Tai Tuivasa cut down from 330 pounds. He left his family. He went to Dubai. Taliesin Teixeira works really hard and was super present in our fighter meeting. He has a big personality. He had never fought into a second round. Isn't always the prettiest aesthetic, but what did you make of the heavyweights, Dan? And Ken Flo, you can follow.
Tale as old as time, guys. Tale as old as time. Taliesin Teixeira was favored to win, and he did win. But the confidence in everybody which was speaking, I don't know if you guys ever do this where you've been watching it so long where you're like, guys, would we really be surprised if X fighter won, right? Like, how many times have we done this dance, especially when it comes to either heavyweight or the opposite end of the spectrum, female divisions, right? And it was the same thing where, like, I picked Tai Tuivasa to win, and he didn't, but it was kind of one of those things where it shows is like, guys, this is such a wild division. And, especially once it gets out of the first round, like I'm of the school, shout out to my guy, Scott Fontana, who's like heavyweight, unless it's ranked heavyweights, they should all be 1-round fights. And, I'm in agreement to that, John, I'm sure you would be, you don't have to say anything, but, make the card a little more digestible, more entertaining. Right.
That's
but
hilarious.
Once we get out of that first round, man, all bets are off. And I don't want to be too tough because Taliesin Teixeira, even though he wasn't that proven, he did get 3 rounds under his belt, as ugly as it was to see. I think that was really important from him. So I don't want to judge him too much. I want to see how Taliesin bounces back from this. And boy, I don't know where Ty goes from here. I was really rooting for him. I don't know if he can maybe get, some of that Sam Alvey love and then get another shot because he brings the action or what, guys. I don't know, but I got nothing but love for Ty and respect. He put in a hard camp to get down there and couldn't quite get it done though.
Yeah, Dan, I'm in agreement with you on that because Taliesin hadn't been past 5 minutes in his professional career, and being in that unknown territory, it's easy to get emotional and excited and to not have your conditioning with you because of that. Obviously, huge fight. All that stuff. And obviously the pressure that Tuivasa was bringing in that fight, trying to knock him out. There's a lot going on for a fighter. And I think this is the one where you kind of, you let him go. And I agree. I think that next fight is really where we can make a much better assessment of like, does he have the conditioning and the composure to be able to do this at a high level through 15 minutes or 25 minutes? Because you want to see someone learn from something like that against Tuivasa. It got sloppy. A lot of it had to do with that lack of conditioning. I think he's a much more technical fighter than what he showed. I think he got a little excited with his ground and pound in round 1. And, I think that's the reason for that.
Couple more minutes here with Dan Tom on the Anik Florian podcast. Speaking of your buddy, Scott Fontana, he pushed something out on social media that at least right now, I think it was something to the effect of there are no undisputed UFC titles on paper scheduled right now, which is crazy. That may not be true, but I think it actually is true. And shout out to Kayla Harrison as she recovers, right? Because when you think about her emotionally digesting, losing the Nunes fight and potentially simultaneously the White House date, that just feels like a huge blow for a 2-time United States Olympian and gold medalist. But what do you think in terms of that reality right now? And I guess as a follow-up, I hate when fucking journalists ask two questions in once, but like, what is your dream fight for the White House? Because the world is the UFC's oyster right now. They have this set up, right? We have a BMF belt on the line in March, and Miami potentially, or other cities being rumored for April. What do you think in terms of June 14th? If you are trying to build the card around one fight, what's your dream matchup?
Man, first of all, with Kayla Harrison, props to her. Obviously, that's really tough. We're seeing her with those neck surgeries and training. Like, I've had a wrist injury bothering me since Poirier Makachev. That's been, keeping me light on the mats, Kenny. I don't know how you got through fights with injuries. When you have injuries now as we're older, we're like, how do we compete with this stuff? Like, Kayla's out there on the mats with a scar on her neck. Like, props to her, first of all. But to answer your White House question, I think that does lead into that title question, John, and they're saving the titles. And, well, if there's one champion I want to see fight, it's selfish, but it's Ilia Topuria right now, man. That's who I really want to see. I know the lightweight is crazy, but that's all the more reason for him to come back. And there are plenty, of options there as well. So anything involving Ilia Topuria, even if it's a crazy fight against Islam Makhachev, if they pulled that out of nowhere again, I don't care. I want to see Ilia again. Call me a fanboy. I sound like one right now. I just want to see that guy back in the octagon.
It's so interesting. I don't know what's going to happen with the White House, right? But it seems like there might be some weather dynamic, Ken Flo. And competitors like Kenny Florian and Ilia Topuria would rather win a fight indoors than inject that variable, I think, into the equation. So sometimes when I hear Ilia talk about April, part of me is thinking like he wants to fight in an arena in a more controlled environment. I mean, I think the White House is going to be crazy, Kenny. And I think for certain athletes, it might feel like once in a lifetime, yes. But, you want the green stripe on your Wikipedia page more than you want to compete on the White House lawn, don't you?
I'm still thinking about you putting my name in the same line as Ilia Topuria. So thank you for that. Really appreciate that. But yeah, man, I think those are other things that you got to think about. But Dan, yeah, obviously I'm with you. I'm a huge Topuria fan. I think he's the best fighter in the sport right now, potentially ever, just based on his high level of technique that he brings. John is, already knowing that I was going to answer that. For me, can I answer who I want to see, John? This is kind of a left field answer, but I would love to see John Jones and Poatan. I would love to see Pineda and John Jones. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but I can dream.
Yeah. Well, no, and it's your show.
Right,
I mean,
that's right.
Yeah. I don't know that it's left field at all. I think it's just about what are you putting on the line? You're not going to do a heavyweight BMF belt, and John Jones making 205 pounds seems awfully ambitious for June 13th. At Dan Tom MMA, if you want more from this man, tremendous analytics, especially when it comes to southpaws. My man, appreciate you hopping on, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Hey, appreciate you guys anytime. Have a great show and good seeing you guys.
There he is, Dan Tom, with us here today on the Anik and Florian podcast. Kenny, it's going to really be fascinating. I do think they're probably going to have Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje on June 14th.
Oh, let's go.
I think Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, the winner of that fight potentially against Conor McGregor might make some sense. But think about, I have no insight into what is going to happen, but it seems like from renderings and some stuff that's out there that this is not going to be an indoor show, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting one, and again, just brings a whole different level of complexity of putting something like this together. Outside of just the insane amount of money. But yeah, man, I think it's going to be huge either way. I think those are going to be factors that are going to be considered by fighters and their camps and their management and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I would love to see Oliveira, Holloway, the winner of that one fight I think that's the fight right there.
Yeah.
That's the fight, dude. Yeah.
So there are a lot of people who listen to this show that maybe aren't NBA fans, right? But former Boston Celtics head coach Rick Pitino once famously said in an agitated state to the Boston sports media, Larry Bird's not walking through that door. Robert Parrish isn't walking through that door. Kevin McHale's not walking through that goddamn door. So you're going to embrace this talent in this team or you're not. And even if we win 15 games and lose 67, right? And the most tired narrative out there, and I know the promotion cuts my check, but trust me, when people say there are no stars or, oh, where are the UFC stars going to come, right? Israel Adesanya made his UFC debut 8 years ago. Alex Poatan Pereira made his UFC debut 5 years ago, right? Quillen Salkild is the reason why I start talking about this right now. Carlos Prates, right? I mean, Joshua Van, on and on it goes. I promise there are a lot of stars. And Quillen Salkild, Kenny, in a year is becoming a huge star over there. He attended the first 3 UFC shows in Perth as a fan. And what a performance. I know he was minus 1,200, but what do you make of the expeditious rise of the budding lightweight contender, Quillen Salkild?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, that is a criticism that I've heard recycled since the time that I was fighting. So anyways, yeah, there's always going to be stars, guys. And if you don't know who they are, then you're not paying attention, in my opinion. But anyways, yeah, I thought Salkild showed yet another wrinkle to his game. He is dangerous on the ground as well. That takedown was phenomenal. Talk about high amplitude, Johnny. The takedown was beautiful. The finish was sick. This is a guy that you're going to have to worry about. This is a martial artist through and through. And, you know, this is why his coaches and his camp were so excited about this fight, is they know that this guy is dangerous and good everywhere. I think he's going to continue to surprise and entertain people. The mullet is on point. The style. I love it, dude. It's good. Yeah.
The extent to which this show caters to Ray Longo is crazy. I mentioned off the top of the show that he got to decide whether our time zone permanently was 10 a.m. or noon moving forward. And now Cody thrice has said to me, have Ray. I get it. Let's get to the high maintenance star of the program and the Ray Longo Minute.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The Jon, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast.
Look at him! Look at the motherfucker! That's what I'm talking.
Oh my God. What's up, Ken Flo?
He's up. How you doing, Ray?
Holy shit, John, you back in Connecticut?
I am back in Connecticut.
So you'll I lost my heat last night, so.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I might not make it to the end of the podcast. I'm freezing.
Can we get you a blanket? You got a space heater, or you got no power?
I did have a space. No. We have power. We had a space heater.
Well, does your wife watch live? Because she could get the space heater. If she was watching live, she'd bring the space heater in there.
She would do that, but we're not doing it.
Yeah, she's not. Are you sun splashed? Is that what I'm seeing? A little sun splash today?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, it's nice to see you. So
how was your trip, John?
It was absolutely crazy. I had so many travel issues on the front end. I left Red Rock, went to the Vegas airport, hung out there for about 6 hours. Flight got canceled. Back to Red Rock, spent an extra night in Vegas. Back to the airport, flight to LA canceled. Booked through Phoenix, flight to Phoenix canceled. Finally was able to get to LA from a different terminal at the Vegas airport. So all told, it was wild. Then I spent 11 hours at LAX before I went out there, and then got to San Francisco and on the back end. Yeah, it was. Nobody wants to hear about that. You know,
that's rough, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah. But no, it was amazing. I've never spent less time on the ground in Australia, though, because I was delayed going out there. You know, I missed a lot of obligations on the front end. I was supposed to MC the open workouts. I was not able to honor that obligation, but it is what it is. We're here, and I'm happy to see you. And I know that Justin Gaethje commented on what you said on the program last week, you know, and I think sort of we all try to contextualize these MMA results and we spin it forward when it comes to Ilia Topuria, you know, and I think sometimes, you know, for our analysts, whether it's Anthony Smith or Dean Thomas, you know, you're put in a position where you're needing to be critical, you know, and I don't know if Justin's comments even crossed your wake at all, you know?
You know, I tell you, so last week I'm driving into the gym and Weidman calls and he goes, did you see, you know, what guys? I have no idea. I really haven't been on social media. So he told me, I mean, I think it was like tongue in cheek, but
Yes, it
So
was.
I told Weidman, I said, get me his number. I actually wanted to call him, but he never got. He said he called DC. DC never gave him the number.
I
But
got the number. I can get his number.
First off, this is what I don't like about even talking sometimes, Kenny, because I like Justin Gaethje. I mean, come on, the guy's phenomenal. He's everything you want in a fighter. God forbid you just say something about a fight. To me, it doesn't mean anything. I mean,
I took it like it was a concern. You were concerned about.
Well,
right?
Listen, I don't know him like he's not my best friend, so I'm not. It's not concerned like where I'm jumping in there.
Sure,
but I've seen. We got a girl that boxed in New York now. She's struggling with some stuff, and I've seen it before. It's like it's not like it's coming. It's just you start acting weird one day, or something happens, and then it's over. That's it, and it's gonna be tough to come back. It's just food for thought. You know what I mean? I could tell you
his
like
comment,
even Phil Baroni sitting in the jail in Mexico. He was a Mad Hatter. There's no question about it. But you combine Mad Hatter with getting punched in the head a lot, it's just not a good thing. I don't know. That's where it came from. It was maybe just to raise awareness because it's not like he's my best friend. And, I do care. I think the guy's like, again, everything you want in a fight. That guy's a fucking gunslinger.
Yeah.
Looks like he's got a great mom and dad. I would never want to, make the guy feel bad. I mean, it has nothing to do with that. And I don't, whatever. But
you've been making him feel good for a decade. That's why it comes out of respect,
doubt.
right? No, but he supports this show, and there was a time where he wanted to break some news, and he asked Ali Abdelaziz if he could come on this program, right? So he follows the show. Your comments crossed his wake, and you have been one of his foremost supporters over the last 10 years, and so that's what his comment was rooted in. I just wanted to give you a chance to address it. And
that was it. No. Listen, I mean, like again, he's got nothing else to prove. This guy. That's the other thing. He's getting up there, and he's had a great career. He's fought the best of the best. He's beat the best of the best. He's been in wars with everybody else. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, I could go on gassing him up for the next 2 hours too. But I mean,
of course,
always a nice guy when you see him. Says hello and stuff. And again. That nothing was meant literally. I mean, just please don't take it the wrong way. Just made an observation that I think you might be, slurring your words a little bit. It's nothing crazy, but just I don't know. Just be careful. That was it, because people will grind you out too. You know what I mean? That he is an entertaining fighter. He always will be till the day he's out of here. So just be careful.
Yep.
Nothing remotely. And I don't think it's common. I think what Weidman.
No, I'll read it to you right now.
Yeah, read it because there's something Sir Slurlader said. Something at the end,
and you just fucking slurred saying it. So there you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you, John. I've done a decent amount of sparring, but
you just slurred your speech. Yeah.
About 15 years ago, I was driving and I almost blacked out while I was driving. The first thing that hit me was like, holy shit, maybe I got hit in the head too many. I mean, it ended up being.
Yeah.
He's frozen.
Yeah, you're slurring your speech, and now you're frozen like fucking Elsa. So
that's how cold it is. His Wi-Fi is cold. It's completely frozen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here's what Justin Gaethje wrote. Harsh. Lost my biggest post-fight fan in Longo after one dominant performance. Still love him. # they call me Sir Slurs a lot.
Yeah, I think that.
I agree.
That's pretty funny. I mean,
yes,
and listen, man, I'm still your biggest fan. You didn't lose anything. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a rough position because I respect the fighters more than anybody. I mean, I think any one of my fighters will tell you that they almost get carte blanche. They can't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? So I'm not that guy. But sometimes when you're doing the show and
yes,
you just make a comment. I don't know, but whatever, man. Love you. Keep doing your thing, and that's it, man. Like again, I think he looks like a great guy, man. Too,
Ray.
Yeah,
I think Kenny might make a little bit more per week on this show than you do, but when we aligned with all the smoke fight, and we figured out our time slot was either going to be 10 a.m. live or noon, we came to you and asked you which you preferred, true or false.
Oh, I don't know. If you're telling me, I guess.
What? You don't know?
How would I know who you called first? Just tell me how I would know that.
Fair,
Well,
I
he's saying,
guess.
I mean, he's saying that we wanted to make sure or wanted to see which time was better with you, right?
Well, thank you very much. That's different than who got called first. I have no idea. I have no control over that. You guys,
a lot of it's about respect, but.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah,
you have the highest.
I'm getting tilted.
No, you're not. I'm not coming at you. No.
My own guys are turning on.
Don't deflect. Don't deflect. Don't deflect.
I'm not deflecting.
You have the highest public approval rating on this show. You know, sometimes you're a little long of wind, but people like you more than they like anyone else on this show. Followed closely by Kenny, and I'm not here for my public approval rating. I'm here to host and produce the show.
Beautiful.
Right?
And I'll tell you one thing. Talk about.
Interrupts me with his shit Wi-Fi.
I'll tell you what, no poor Ian Parker. I went to look at the comment. Oh, I mean, it was it's like 98% Rotten Tomatoes. Like it was unbelievable. I go, what you guys do? See, I'm out of the loop with all of this stuff. Yeah, great job, Mr. Host. Now everybody hates our podcast. Jesus, Mary Joseph. Yeah, where was I on that? Where was I on that decision, Kenny? Mr. You own the show. You make a little less than Kenny. Yeah, where was that? Was I in that decision? Was I the first guy to get called for that? I don't think so.
Oh my goodness, he's on fire. He's on fire.
Shit.
Sorry,
sorry, Ian. But I tell you, I went to the comments, man. I'm in. I've never seen anything like that in my freaking life, to be honest with you. And I've said some outrageous shit, and I've never got attacked like that.
Oh, man. That is amazing.
Yeah, but good.
That is amazing.
Who's in charge of human resources?
Oh, God.
Step into my office. You're fired.
Ray Longo Minute. Every week, beautiful mug. You're just audio only. Ray just showed his mug to the audience.
How's that merchandise going?
What, you laughing at your own merchandise? One more sleep sold more than Ray Longo.
I like lifting.
One more sleep sold more than the Ray Longo Minute in 2025. If you really want to know,
I want to know how much more.
So, huh?
Was that
how much more?
12 shirts to 8 shirts.
No, it's actually more robust than that. You can ask Jason Anik. I mean, it wasn't crazy. It wasn't crazy, but
I'd love the data on that.
You are banging all over the show. I mean, do you have any other comments you want to make about the show?
It's 11 in the morning and I'm frozen to death, so I guess that has something to do.
Well, hopefully the show's warming you up a little bit.
That's why everybody
hot. You're coming in hot.
Everybody in like Florida is happy. They see the sun every day. They don't step outside in a foot of slush before they get in their cars. This is what happens, Kenny. You guys did the right thing. This guy moved back east, which I'm happy for him, but
I can't believe how much snow I came home to. Can't even believe it.
It's not crazy.
So, but let me get a little bit serious on you for a second, right? You chose the noon time slot, right?
Yes.
And today we were efforting you for 10:30. You came on 11. No, you always seem to prefer the later time slot. So I'm just curious, like, what time did you go to bed last night and what time did you rise? Is that an okay question?
No, I don't go to bed before like 3.
Well, therein lies the rub, does it not? Right? So you go to bed at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
so
I try for 2. It's just I don't know. My circadian rhythm is just out of whack. I need help.
Right.
There's a sleep doctor out there.
Thankfully, you didn't go to Sydney. What time is it in Sydney right now? Let's see. It is 3:13 in the morning in Sydney on Wednesday. Yeah. So I'm feeling that a little bit. So let me ask you, if I could, about your Paramount Plus viewing experience thus far and what UFC 325 was like for you, Raymond. Ray? Yeah, I mean,
you just froze up on me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was asking you about UFC 325 and Paramount Plus and what your viewing experience was like. Kenny, are you hearing me?
I am hearing you.
Good.
Yes.
All right.
I think Ray.
I'm hearing you.
All right. You hearing me, motherfucker? You hearing me? This guy, man.
I
This
think
guy, man. I mean, he's got no heat.
Yeah, his Wi-Fi's all over the place.
Hey, Cody. Hey, that's kind of a good frozen visual. Hey, Kenny, it's actually sort of funny because some people were suggested the Paramount Plus was freezing on them during some of the advertisements. How's your viewing experience been thus far, Ken Flo?
It's been great, man. I certainly haven't had any issues like I had with ESPN. It's easy to find. When I press play, it actually plays. I don't have to re-sign in. All these issues. So it's been good for me. And also I like the adjustments with the, we got to see the walkouts. We got to see more of the corners talking. So I love that the UFC is hearing the feedback and actually, doing what the fans want, which is awesome.
Yeah, you knew the UFC was not going to rest upon its laurels and make sure to affect change when it came to some of those commercials. Ray, floor is yours.
Oh, I didn't. I haven't heard the question, John.
Oh, okay. I was just asking about your viewing experience on Paramount Plus thus far.
So far, I mean, look, I was at fights Saturday night, so I got home and saw everything late. They did make a couple of corrections. I think with some of the corner work, they had maybe like a graphic of a commercial without having to listen to it. So it looks like they're trending in the right direction. But yeah, I would say but again, if Dana had complete control, this shit would have never happened. Because I think those are the things that he kind of built the company on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So relative to your expectations going into the fight, what were your thoughts on Volkanovski versus Lopez Act 2?
I thought Volkanovski did a beautiful job. His footwork was on point. I thought Diego was going to win that fight. I think Volkanovski is, I don't know, what he's doing is unbelievable, because to lose a title, come back, get knocked out a couple of times, he pitched a perfect fight. So unbelievable performance by Volk. I thought, I thought his footwork was beautiful. He kind of was beating him to the punch. So I saw the fight, at the gym. Technically, Volk's amazing, man. I didn't think he could do it like that, and he did it. So hats off to him.
I am not sure there's been a demise that's been more greatly exaggerated, Kenny, than Volk's, man. I know sometimes I'm insulated. I know I'm wrong a lot, but when I heard people talking about him retiring, and I know he's not of that mindset at all, I think if Diego Lopez knocked him clean out in round 2, he'd still fight on. There's so much fight left in this dog. I understand that maybe he's lost a step in terms of the speed, but he can out IQ a lot of these guys, and he can still make the weight with relative ease. I don't know. I think he's going to be very competitive.
Oh, I think so too. But I would say, because he has been, right, I think when he stops being competitive, when he starts looking and going, I would have beaten Lopez 2 years ago, or whatever it is, whoever that challenge is, I think he will stop. He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to fight. I think now that he's found, a place that he can work on his farm, and he's got cooking with Volk and all these other things, I think that's a good sign that he can transition to that next life whenever he's ready. But I don't think he is ready to retire. He's still competing with the best in the world and making it look easy against guys like Lopez. The guy is an absolute freak, man.
And making buckets of money. And he even said, if my next fight is at 45, if you don't think this guy would step up and fight on the White House lawn if Lerone Murphy or Movsar Evloev isn't ready against one of these high-profile lightweights on short notice or otherwise, I'm just telling you, man, Volk's a warrior. I don't want any fucking pets, right? But it's I almost want to buy a dog to name it Volk. Although that would, yeah. So, all right, we're going to try to get Ray Longo on his phone. We apologize for the technical difficulties during the Ray Longo minute. If you are a new viewer, sometimes that is the case with Ray shaking his head. Ray, why don't you just talk since you're hot?
Yeah, God, what was the question again? You were freezing up. Yeah, it was quick. No, it was something. Wait, hold on a second.
No, let me ask you this. Oh, he's going to freeze again.
I heard the end of it.
Hey,
is he frozen, Kenny? Did he froze it? I thought you froze
He's there. He's there. Yeah. I think it's your Wi-Fi, my man.
Oh, you said Volk.
this month. Hey, no, so you know what? No, so here's the thing. We're gonna pay to get Ray a second Wi-Fi at his house. Because you need the backup Wi-Fi or get this guy hardwired. I mean, you know, you got to prioritize. The star of the show. We work the time slot around him, and
get him a Starlink.
Yeah. I really was going to ask him, though. I know he's not objective, but about Aljo's chances against Volk, because certainly some fans would scoff if you were suggestive that that's a super fight. And I'm not, but to me, champion versus champion in any respect like Davison Figueiredo and Piotr Jan didn't feel like a super fight, but Davison Figueiredo. But there wasn't a belt on the line. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I think that would qualify as a really big fight. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Volk fights at 55 at some point in the not too distant future. We were talking a little bit about Quillen Salkild, bro.
Yeah.
Grappler first, striker second, or whatever, but just sort of, these kids from Australia who sort of, cut their teeth with mixing the martial arts and so much younger than individuals like you and me. And really fascinating to see just how far Quillen Salkild can take this. He's got support of good brands like Full Violence. Ray, is that your cellular telephone?
Yeah, it's my cell phone.
Beautiful. So I just wanted to ask you if I could, and I know our time is probably short. So Aljamain Sterling versus Alexander Volkanovski, I think, is a really interesting fight. Certainly, it seems like he's going to wait for the winner of Movsar Evloev and Lerone Murphy, But I actually said earlier that if I had to send one guy in there to beat Volk right now, I think Volk's still so good in present form at 37 that I might send in Aljo just because I feel like he could find a finish, even if he couldn't outpoint him over 5 rounds,
Yeah, I mean, look, Aljo's a problem for anybody. And I tell you,
Nate just wrote in our private chat his Wi-Fi doesn't work.
In essence, I mean, he's getting a long layoff, which I don't think he wants. What? Let me put this here. But no, I think Aljo, they should be giving Aljo a lot of matchups in this division, but obviously they're looking to freeze him out, I guess. I don't know, but he deserves a good opponent.
Looking to freeze him out, no pun intended, huh? I mean, you can't make it up. Nate wrote in our private chat his Wi-Fi doesn't work until 1 p.m. Eastern, Gotta wait till 1. Hey, Ray, I was asking my kids this morning, would you rather give up your phone or only wear Crocs for the rest of your life?
Would I rather give up my phone? Is that a good, would you rather? Would I rather give up?
So you're asking me if it's a good...
I'd wear the Crocs for the rest of my life.
Kenny, I would rather give up my cell phone than have to wear fucking Crocs for the rest of my life. I know Bilal Muhammad, former undisputed welterweight champion, would be fine with the Crocs. Kenny, would you rather give up your phone or only wear Crocs for the rest of your life?
Oh gosh, I would give up my phone. I want to, but I can't. But wait, I would prefer that.
Wait, hold on. Wait, what are Crocs? Aren't those open, like
open-toed shoes for the most part?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I like my dogs breathing. I'll take the Crocs.
There you go. So I mentioned earlier, Ray, that I was doing a Q&A, sort of an appearance in Sydney, and one of the fans asked Joshua Van and Carlos Prates if you were in a street fight and you could bring 2 UFC fighters with you, who would you bring? And then another fan question, they asked Joshua Van and Carlos Prates, if you were in a street fight and you could bring one fighter from your division, who would you bring? And I think Prates said Michael Morales, and the 2 of them in the street would certainly be ferocious. Joshua Van said, I'll fight them all myself,
That's cool.
That's great.
But yeah, Ray, I mean, I am absolutely fascinated with this French special Air Force operator Benoit Saint-Denis. You have to kill him. You got to kill him. Like, if you don't kill him, I know Arman Sarkian would be like 5-1 against him, but you still have to kill the man or you're not going to beat him,
Yeah, Sarukian's a really bad matchup for him, but
Yes.
I'll tell you what, like, again, not the most technical guy, but nobody's got a bigger heart and determination than this guy. Like, he did what he had to do. He stays on the outside of that fight, he's going to get picked apart. Even if you have to bum rush him, even if it's sloppy going in, you can't take no for an answer. And that's what he does. He did it with Rufy. He did it with Hooker. And these are guys that could keep you on the outside. Very rangy fighters. And he finds a way to bust in there. For all the guys that are sitting around on the outside, hesitate, when do I go in? Sometimes, man, it's like, how do you handle an ambush, Kenny? You got to run right through it, baby. Just go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what he does. And, eventually I'm sure he'll get caught. But for right now, he's winning fights on a big set of brass fucking balls, man. You could see he was relentless in that fight, trying to get Hooker down.
So
yeah.
It's 27 degrees in Garden City, New York. I don't necessarily want to give away your exact location. North Syosset, Oyster Bay Cove, fucking 27 degrees. It's freezing out there.
Are you doxing me right now?
What is that verb? I don't recognize that verb.
Doxing is where you tell everybody where they're from.
I heard it.
Kenny would literally Kenny would kill me if I doxed him, No, seriously. Like, Kenny and I are like friends, right? Like, I know I didn't get the late groomsman call. By the way, Kenny needed a replacement groomsman, Ray, late in the game, and he fucking chose Kurt Pellegrino over me.
No way. Wait, was Pellegrino, was he in your wedding party?
He was.
Oh, my
God.
Last minute replacement. Certainly you don't initially extend the invite.
I had to have Jon in his strengths. He announced us entering into Kurt Pellegrino wasn't gonna announce us into the, so I had to have Jon utilize his strength, but I would have had him in both roles if I could.
Yeah. Wow.
And if you want the smoke from Ray Longo's MMA, One Commercial Avenue in Garden City, New York. This is the way we walk in New York, right? I got my first Onyx vinyl actually in the other room. What?
Is he getting Kenny, is he getting even with me right now? Is he attacking me right now?
No, he's not. He's not.
I tried to liven the show up at the beginning. And now this is the payback I get.
You tried to liven the show up? I mean, we're just being ourselves here, Ray.
Yeah, 100%. Today we are for sure.
Great to have everybody with us. Live edition of the Anik Florian podcast. Every edition is live. Hopefully you are back on the Anik Florian podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you subscribing. We haven't been on that channel in several years. Very excited to be back. You can also find us on All the Smoke Fight. Raymond, go ahead.
I just wanted to shout out 3 of my fighters. We had a great weekend. No fight went the distance. Joe Kesey made his amateur kickboxing debut, second round knockout. Check Gee. He's going to turn pro next. He submitted the guy in the first round. Beautiful fight.
Ooh.
Ryan Lopez made his professional MMA debut with a second round TKO over a tough kid out of Dante Rivera School. Really good fights, and everybody showed up and fought. So I just want to shout out the guys because we are expanding the gym, John. So we're looking for bigger and better things in the future. Let's freaking go is right.
Well, we are certainly happy to be a conduit to help that initiative. Ray, would you rather be famous or rich?
Rich.
Yeah, I mean, imagine answering famous.
Yeah.
My son's like, Dad, you're famous. I was like, yeah, I'd rather be rich. I was like, I'm a lot more famous in Australia.
I'm
a lot more.
Yeah, that's what you should have said, son. Yeah, I'm famous. And where'd that get me?
Famous in Australia. I said, I'm a lot more famous in Australia than the United States. Ray, would you rather live in a treehouse or an underwater castle?
Oh, I'd love to live in a treehouse. I want to live in a treehouse now.
Go ahead. Who's fucking stopping you?
That's true. I'm not really sure, but I think the minus 12 degrees might have a little something to do with it.
You could get it.
You don't have AC. You don't have any heat in your house anyway. Just all big treehouse.
Kenny, the guy's on fire now. What else you got to say?
Go ahead. No one's stopping you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wife can't wait to send you out to the fucking treehouse at night. Get the fuck out of here.
That's 1,000,000% true.
And Ray, we know you have a new hip. Would you rather
man.
have to hop everywhere or crawl everywhere?
Jesus.
I'd rather hop everywhere.
Ray, I don't really have anything else for you unless you want to talk about Mario Bautista and Vinicius Oliveira and what is going to be an absolutely explosive UFC bantamweight main event this weekend. But other than that, we hope you have no. I cut you off. I mean, hope you have a great day and a better evening, my man. I'll give you a parting shot.
I think that's it, man. About fight looks like it will be fireworks. Those are two. That's going to be a great fight. But I think that's about it. I think that's
do you plan to watch the Super Bowl, or does your NFL boycott dating to the Colin Kaepernick thing continue?
Fucking Super Bowl don't stand a chance.
Let's go.
Wow, look at this guy.
Let's go.
The Pats.
I don't even wait. First off, who's in the Super Bowl?
How dare you?
Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots are in the Super Bowl.
The Patriots are back again. Wow.
Yeah.
You should be very happy.
I had a nightmare on the plane ride that the Buffalo Bills had beat the Patriots 31-30 in the AFC Championship game. I don't remember a lot of my dreams. Ray, you don't care about this. Why don't you can
No, I'm listening.
Oh no, I feel bad. I don't ever want to bore you.
I'm sure everybody wants to hear about you. Everybody's hanging on by the edge of their seat. Where, John? What'd you dream, John? Kenny, I had a glass of water with my breakfast, Kenny, in case anybody cares. Kenny, one time I peeled a banana. I don't really remember it, but
oh my God.
And I peeled it. Yeah. John, how was your dream? You had a dream that the Patriots lost to the Bills.
I'm crying over here.
Dude, anything else?
Gosh.
Anything else? Martin Luther King?
No.
Anything else?
Sorry,
Martin Luther King? Any other dreams you had?
Oh my gosh. Oh, Ray, you're
we'll
on
be sure
fire,
to include
dude.
you heretofore on all executive decisions involving the Anik Florian podcast. Have a great day and a better evening.
Take it easy.
See you, Ray.
That's it. I think I just got voted out.
Yeah, you did.
And he's back.
Ray Longo minute. Every week here on the Anik Florian podcast, dating to episode 1 in April of 2015. If you do care, right? So the Patriots score a touchdown in my dream in the final second of the game, and they go for 2 to try to win 32-31, and they throw the ball to an offensive lineman who is pass catch eligible on the play. This is my goddamn dream, right? Number 74 catches the ball, and then he's in quicksand and he can't move. And I'm dreaming. I'm like, dude, the end zone's there. Josh McDaniels has the perfect play call, and you're just going to fucking stand there. You got money on Buffalo. And I wake up thinking that, all these tickets I had on the Bills to win the AFC would have cashed. And instead it was just a dream or a nightmare, as it were. And the Patriots will represent the American Football Conference in the Super Bowl.
That's amazing. In case you didn't know, Jon Anik was a fanatical sports fan. There you go. Evidence. Yeah.
If by chance we have audio or Wi-Fi issues with Ian Parker, my tolerance and patience level for them will not be particularly high. So we may have to table our main event challenge for later in the week. But Super Bowl 60 is Cannonball coming this Sunday, and it deserves a sportsbook built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. And since anything can happen during the Super Bowl, DraftKings has your back with early exit. How about this? If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. And I can't wait to see how our hometown New England Patriots fare against the Seahawks. Pat's 4.5-point underdogs right now. Going to be interesting to see this Jackson Smith and his Jigba. What a postseason assault it has been. He's plus 550 right now to score the first touchdown, minus 110 to score an anytime touchdown, Might also take a look at Ramondre Stevenson plus 145 to get in the end zone for New England. But either way, I can't wait for the big game. And if you are new to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code AFPOD. That's code AFPOD to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. All right, so UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira beckons this weekend from that there Meta Apex. The Ducky and Parker's with us. Ian, good Monday to you. What's the word?
Yeah, you know what? I'm upset that Kenny's not getting a burst fade. That would have been a really great way to come back to the show. I think he would have looked fantastic with the Diego Lopez-ish mane. I want to say thank you to Diego Lopez for doing absolutely nothing different than switching your stance from the first fight to make me look incredibly stupid with my breakdown. And Talashin Teixeira, thank you for not being able to finish a goddamn sandwich. But other than that, happy Monday. Let's go.
No, I think that's a good way to assess things. I know a lot of us maybe felt like Diego Lopez might have bridged that gap a little bit, and they just didn't make the requisite adjustments. And we'll see where Diego goes from here. You know, sometimes I feel like when I do my hot yoga classes, I have the worst footwork in the class, you know, and I have narrow feet, right, which doesn't necessarily lend itself to the practice. But yeah, I just feel like Diego Lopez's feet, you know, sometimes you get a lot of great intel being octagon side and his feet just all over the place. And now they're sort of fractured, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't even touching his throat this time. So I was like, oh, he made that correction. He didn't touch his throat, but he can't move.
Why you can't bang on him for touch. Do you know the backstory with the throat, or do you mute the commentary?
No, I know. You told me last time, and I know DC said something about it as well, and you actually told the story again. I'm just making it a probably bad joke because all the adjustments that he made, he didn't do this once.
You're right. No, you're actually, it's an astute point. I know he one time at the very start of a round he did, and then he's breaking the habit because just like Benson Henderson fixing his hair, right? You can throw a jab in the time it takes you to go to your neck, you know?
Yeah, I'm glad he broke that habit out of all the other things. Super job, Diego. You know what I love Diego Lopez. What throws me off, and I'll leave it at this, and I'm sure Kenny could probably piggyback this, but like it's like he fights Volk or he gets in this title fight, he just forgets what got him there. I mean, you would have thought after he was able to take the back at the end of that round, it's like, oh, maybe I should set up some striking to try and steal the round, because the rounds weren't like overly dominant other side, where one or two things couldn't have maybe swung the round. I mean, it's just really unfortunate to see. He's a fun fighter, great guy, good personality, someone that can always, you know, people are going to want to watch forever. But it's like maybe he just won't ever be champion because he just gets stuck in that, you know, gets stuck in the mud when it's time to perform in the light. I don't know.
Yeah, Kenny, I mean, he did come to the UFC with 5 or 6 losses. He lost to Joe Anderson Brito on Dana White's Contender Series. Maybe a guy just does maximize his utility. I know we got to move on, Kenny, but I do agree with some of what Ian's saying. You know, in a round in which there are 90 seconds to go that you're losing, right? I know you can't steal a round, and we learned that acutely earlier with Dan Tom, but why not try to see if you can offensively wrestle, right? It just seemed like there wasn't desperation, and you know, the competitive spirit was there, but, you know, mixed in with, I think, way too much sort of respect for the champion. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, listen, a lot of these things you kind of need to earn, and it takes time to learn. And I think that's why I said it before, you know, he's still a developing fighter. Now, we all are. We're all trying to get better as fighters. Obviously, it's not necessarily a destination, right? It never ends. It never ends. But you know, I think he needed more time. That's what I blame more than anything else. I think he needed more time to develop, and it just wasn't there. And again, Volkanovski, he's pretty damn good.
All right, UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira, live this weekend on Paramount Plus. First pick for us on the main card, IP at bantamweight, Farid Basharat minus 298. I always think of fucking Burt Bacharach when I say Farid Basharat. Basharat minus 298. Jean Matsumoto plus 240. Basharat's older brother, Javadi, as you well know, is also in the UFC and on the card. Farid would appear to have the higher ceiling of the two brothers. He's 14-0 after a win over Chris Gutierrez at UFC 320 last year. What are your thoughts on him, Ian? About 3-1 for him against Matsumoto.
I don't know. I think the odds are a little bit wide here. So betting that, you're going to have to get creative. However, where I like him in this fight is his fight IQ, because Matsumoto is like a very organized, chaotic, talented, durable guy. And he's going to keep coming forward. If you don't keep him on his back, he's going to get back up. I mean, you saw in the Rob Font fight, right? So he is somebody that it's just very difficult to put away. But I think this is the younger Basharat. In the beginning, I thought the other one had the higher ceiling until as of late, right? I thought the other one was a little bit more of a dominant. You could see him fighting up the ranks quicker. But this one in that last fight was so impressive to me, just how smart he was to not get away from the game plan. And I think here, this is going to be a jab, takedown, stay there. It's not going to be pretty. He's not going to let Matsumoto be the Tasmanian devil and make this ugly. He's going to make this he might make this boring, but I do think he wins. I think it's going to be grapple heavy. He's going to have to stay on top, and he's got cardio, very good cardio to match Matsumoto's crazy engine as well. So I like Basharat in this one.
Yeah, Kenny Basharat, a thinking man's fighter. The Brazilian Matsumoto, 17-1, only man to beat him. Of course, Rob Font by split. That was last February. A fight he took on short notice, by the way. Then he responded, split decision win over Miles Johns in August. Tapology's proprietary ranking system has Matsumoto number 28, Basharat number 30. So good matchmaking here, Ken Flo. Who do you love?
Yeah, two guys with awesome records. Matsumoto, very good grappler, really kind of a spark plug out there when he fights, likes that high pressure style game. I think he'll need that, but I agree, Ian. I think he does need to make this a bit chaotic. I think that will kind of help him to win this fight. So the uglier this fight, the better it is for Matsumoto. Now, the cleaner, more technical the fight is, obviously that's going to favor the other Bash brother, Farid Basharat. So I think this guy, again, this is a testament to how damn good this bantamweight division is. He has a lot of skill. A lot of skill. This is someone to watch. I truly think this is a guy who could potentially be a champion in the future. I think he's that good. He's that smart. He's that seasoned. To see a guy with 14 fights fight with the level of intelligence and technique that this guy has, I was thoroughly impressed. I think this is Basharat's fight to lose. I think he wins this one. I think he will be more technical. I think he will be leading the dance, and Matsumoto is not going to have enough for him.
All right, next up, middleweight division, the oncoming Michal Oleksiejczuk, minus 360, Marc-Andre Barrio, plus 285. Oleksiejczuk from Poland, now trains in Sao Paulo with the Fighting Nerds. Still only 30, but he's fought 17 times in the UFC. Good strength of schedule across his 7 UFC losses. There are 7 of them. But recently, Ian, he's won 2 straight against guys he should beat, I guess. Cedricus Dumas, Gerald Meerschaert, both first-round TKOs. Now he is north of 3-1 against Powerbar. Your thoughts?
All right, so I will say this. Powerbar has a path to victory here. It's wrestle, take him down, and don't be sloppy. However, he's not going to do that. He just, for whatever reason, because I know his coach, Daniel Mendez, very well. He's with a good camp. He's got a lot of good guys there. And it's just, he's one of these guys that goes into the fight and it's like, oops. By the time he figures out what's going on, he's asleep, because he is a talented guy. When he came from the Canadian scene, everyone loved him. He was a big prospect, right? And he did well until he got knocked out by Giochiani. And it's just, he just forgets. And I think Michal at this point has kind of figured out, I got to keep the fight standing. This fight's not going over 1.5 rounds. And I think he's going to get another knockout here. He's just got to stuff those early takedowns really quick. I think, to your point, John, this is another one he's supposed to win. I think at some point that's going to come to an end when he fights someone who wrestled one time in 7th grade. So for me right now, I'm gonna take him to probably get an early knockout in round 1. It wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah. Well laid out as usual. Powerbar Barrio. I mean, you got to love the nickname Powerbar. Maybe make some t-shirts. By the way, Cameron Rouston. What'd you say?
I said, or protein. Kind of sounds like a snack to me as well.
It is. It is an actual bar. Or I don't know if it's still around, but they had a Powerbar. Yeah.
Is Ian that much younger than us that he wouldn't remember Power Bar?
I don't know.
I just turned 40, so not that much younger.
No, you are. I'm 47. That's why you haven't heard of Power Bar, because you are that much younger than us.
Yeah.
But I love the nickname Power Barbario. But you know Cameron Rouston, who just won this weekend, the 6'3" middleweight, I believe.
Love him. Love him.
His nickname used to be the Battle Giraffe. Did you hear me talking about? I couldn't even focus on the fight. I'm too focused on my fucking Battle Giraffe t-shirts.
The minute you said that on the air, all I could think about was a baby giraffe when they're born and their legs are going wild and like he's like, because that's such a good nickname for him. There's very few guys where like weird nicknames fit perfectly. John, when you said that, I was like, holy shit, that's incredible.
Has anyone ever Googled like two giraffes fighting, cranking each other's necks? It's insane.
Yeah,
and I know people are going to minimize this show right now and open another window and watch two giraffes going at it. I know you will. But if you're trying to resonate with people, I know Mario Bautista, who we'll get to, doesn't want to be Super Mario, right? Because it's, I get it. Battleborn Batista sounds cooler. You at least need a nickname. But if you're Cameron Rouston, right? I mean, so he's from a nation that loves this stuff. But dude, like, print the Battle Giraffe t-shirts. What are we doing?
Not even a question. Not even a question.
So, Power Barbario, Kenny, I don't think I've gotten a pick from you on this one. He has bonused in 2 straight, knockout of Bruno Silva in Montreal, fight of the night with Shara Bullet in Abu Dhabi last July, but he has lost 4 of 5. I don't know if he's fighting for his job because there aren't that many Canadian talents out there, but a loss here would be 5 of 6 for Power Bar. What do you have for us on this one?
Yeah, it'd be a tough loss. And I think that Barrio is a very exciting fighter. I think athletically, he's pretty impressive, man. But he's going against a guy in Oleksiejczuk who I think is, he's favored for a reason. I think he's going to be the better, more technical striker. I think Barrio has a shot if they're just kind of throwing down. Maybe he can land one. I think he's powerful enough to get the KO, but Oleksiejczuk, I just think, is the better fighter in this one. I think he could stop the takedowns here. I like the fact that he's gone out of his training camps in Poland to train in Brazil and get better with the fighting nerds. I think that's a great sign. I think his brother doing well in the UFC is a good sign. I think going to motivate him there. So I like Oleksiejczuk in this matchup. Yeah.
All right, next up, feature bout at heavyweight, 6th ranked Jailton Malyaginho Almeida -148. Rizvan Kuniev is +124. So Ian, Almeida started 6-0 in the UFC. He's lost 2 of his last 4, lost to Alexander Volkov by split decision at UFC 321 last October. That upended his momentum after a couple straight wins. Stepping in, I guess, on relatively short notice here for Ryan Spann. What do you make of Almeida and Kuniev at heavyweight, my brother?
Oh, God, Jailton Almeida. What are we going to do with you, bro? How do you lose that fight with Volkov when all you had to do was throw a few extra punches, maybe sneeze on the guy, just something, right? And it's like, now my concern for him is that the UFC said, if you don't start standing up and not being boring, we're going to get rid of you. And if he stands up against this guy, he's going to lose because arguably his opponent beat Curtis Blades in that last fight. I've seen Kuniev for a while when, he did some stuff in the PFL. He beat Renan Ferreira, even though he was a little juicy juice at the time. I say let the heavyweights juice. Who cares at this point, right? Let's make it more fun. Let's make it more violent the way they've been fighting. But, I'll keep this short and sweet. Almeida should be able to take him down. He should be able to kind of implement that game. It wouldn't shock me if this went into round 2, round 3. Kuniev is a tough guy to finish, even on top. I think he's defensively sound enough, but Almeida's got together here. I don't love it, but he's the better of the two.
Can you imagine if they let the heavyweights juice? Kuniev
like
out of
behind the scenes. No, like behind the scenes, like if someone's back there doing the interview with him as he's getting the needle, like literally in the back. Right?
Kuniev, if you don't know, that lone PFL appearance was a win over Renan Ferreira, but it was overturned to a no contest after a positive test for a banned substance. Kuniev Kenny out of Makhachkala, Russia. Split decision loss to Curtis Blades last June in the UFC debut. That was in Azerbaijan. He is the slight underdog here against Malyaginho.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Renan Fajeda now is one of his main training partners over at American Top Team. And Kuniev, I think, is going to be a much better fighter than when I first saw him over in the PFL. I don't think he's going to be easy to take down. I think Jailton Almeida could potentially take him down because of his athleticism and stuff like that. But I don't think he's the most technical wrestler in the world. And I also think he doesn't have a whole lot of confidence in his conditioning. And I would attribute that to why he wasn't so aggressive on the ground with his ground and pound. And I don't think it has to do with him maybe being more exciting on the feet. I think he just needs to be more aggressive. And I don't think he has a whole lot of confidence in his conditioning to do that. That's not a great sign. I think he's got a ton of talent. But I like Kuniev as a spoiler in this fight. I don't think Almeida's going to have an easy time taking him down. And once he starts to lose confidence, I think that's where Kuniev is going to take over. I don't know if Kuniev is going to stop him necessarily, but I like Kuniev for the upset here.
And Kuniev was born in Dagestan, if you are wondering.
Yes.
Fights out of Makhachkala, but a lot of great roots there. All right, co-main event, flyweight division, 8th ranked Kyoji Horiguchi, minus 360. Number 6, Amir Albazi is plus 285. So Horiguchi, Kenny, goes 7-1 during his first UFC stint, only lost to Demetrius Johnson for the title. Then he wins 16 fights outside of the UFC, returns in November in Qatar, promptly submits to Girulan Bekov, gets a bonus, now spinning it forward near 4-1 against top-ranked contender Amir Albazi. As we wait on Ian's connection, Ken Flo, we will kick off the co-main event with you. Who do you like?
Listen, I think Horiguchi is a damn problem. His speed, his footwork, his ability to be a much better grappler now that he's back in the UFC, and all that experience that he's accrued over the last few years, I think has served him very, very well. Albazi in his last fight against Brandon Moreno did not look good. I don't know if there's an injury that has plagued him. I don't know if his confidence is shot or whatever it is, but Albazi just looks a little bit different to me. And I don't think he has the athleticism to deal with someone like Horiguchi. I think if he's able to find success with his grappling and nullify Horiguchi on the ground, I think he can win this. I just don't think he's going to be capable of dealing with the speed and the overall striking of the Japanese fighter. So give me Horiguchi.
Main event challenge here live on the Anik Florian podcast. I'm going to make an executive decision and go forward to the main event here in the bantamweight division. 9th ranked Mario Bautista, minus 192. Number 11, Vinicius Oliveira is plus 160. So, Ian, I love Mario Bautista. Made a couple of mistakes against Umar, but he fought really well. He's well-versed, great cardio, high fight IQ, great camp. He had won 8 in a row before the loss to Umar. I love that he's getting a main event. On the other side, the uber entertaining lock dog Vinicius Oliveira. I'm all in on this main event. Fascinated to hear your handicap IP. Go ahead.
Yeah, my bad. The landscaping company chose
that's all right.
to knock out a cord to my studio, and so that's gonna be a fun thing to fix later today. All right, so just why not at this time, right?
Right, of course.
Yeah, it's also like 28 degrees in Florida. Just everything's all sorts of weird right now. So, all right. This is so interesting here because I think Oliveira is the type of guy who could really disrupt a lot of people's flow. He is just as weird. He's big. He keeps moving forward. That Said Nurmagomedov fight was very impressive. How his not that Nurmagomedov is known for his cardio, but very tough fighter, especially when he gets submissions in there. However, I think when you take these guys and you bring out who at their best is a better fighter, it's got to be Mario Bautista. To your point against Umar, right? He was able to get into those scrambles. He wasn't, he lost, but everyone except for maybe 1 or 2 were going to lose to Umar, right? I think from Mario Bautista, he cannot get that confidence down. He's got to go into this fight, and he's got to go back to the wrestling, the ground game, to where he was really taking guys out earlier, because Oliveira off his back takes away all the weird style, takes away the unpredictable striking, the spinning crap, everything you could think of. So for me, I think Bautista gets a win here. I think this is a very good opportunity for him to shine and get a finish. We don't know if Lokdog can go 5 rounds at that wild pace. I think we know Bautista can push it, especially if he dictates the narrative. So give me Super Mario, because that should be his nickname. I agree with you. What is he doing? Battle mode Mario? What the hell is that? I'm just saying, come on, guys. We're in a sport here where marketing is almost as good as getting a win. Like, he should walk out in a red shirt, fucking overalls, him on his hat. like I'm just saying, who gives a shit about battle mode? It's like
no. You're
you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I mean, I'm probably wrong as usual, but I'm just saying, like, I think about all these stuff with some of these guys with really cool nicknames. And then the fact that they get the Jon Anik rub on the air, if you get it. So it's not like these guys just get announced, right? Because we know that Buffer sometimes announces the wrong people anyways. But when you get behind a nickname, people remember, like Ilir Latifi, the backyard shed. That wasn't even his nickname, but that's all I remember, right? And I don't even know what else he was called. So not to go off topic here, but I think you bring up an excellent point.
Quillen Salkeld, right, is monetizing the bakery thing with Full Violence, right? And that wasn't even a nickname. It was just a call. And his mom brought us cookies, right? Because I mean, it's taken on truly the
only thing he didn't do was come out in a baker's hat and thrown out some baked goods to the audience.
Yeah.
I'm saying lean into
but
this.
I'm laughing because you're Super Mario Kart battle mode. It's Battleborn. He was born in Nevada, and he has the Battleborn tattoo. So, yeah. Anyway, Kenny, first headlining spot for both Vinicius Oliveira and Mario Bautista. Oliveira is 4-0 in the UFC. He's had some sensational moments, the double bonus. He beat Kyler Phillips, who's pretty credentialed at UFC 318 in New Orleans last July. What do you make of the main event, Ken Flo?
Yeah, the fact that he beat Kyler Phillips, I think, was extremely impressive. However, he still hasn't beaten or fought, I should say, the likes of Nurmagomedov, Aldo, Simon, Blackshear. I mean, this is top tier stuff. And I think Kyler Phillips didn't have the best fight against him. But as far as who is the more dangerous guy, I think Lucky Joggy. Lucky Joggy's very dangerous, man. I think he's the guy that, if there's someone I'm betting on to maybe get the finish, it would probably be Oliveira. I think that he's got crazy power. He's absolutely massive in the division. He's got conditioning. He's not going to go away. We've seen him in some really tough spots and come back to win. So there's a lot of positives. But what I value in this game, if I can get it, is consistency. And Mario Bautista is consistent. He's a guy, he's going to show up in shape. He's going to perform well every single time out. He's rarely going to have just a bad round. He's been accruing a lot of very critical experience against high-level competition. And I like Mario Bautista as a result. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think we're going to find out just how good Oliveira is. And can he pass this test? Yeah, he potentially could. But I have to go with consistency here. And for me, that means Mario Bautista.
And remember, 25-foot octagon, I believe. Meta Apex has a bunch of seats now, but I believe you're still dealing with the smaller octagon. So we'll see what happens when they lock the door behind them. All right, that's it for the main event challenge. Our final act, Place Your Bets, brought to you by JohnAnik.com, where you can get 15% off your show-supporting merchandise order with promo code One More Sleep. Ian Parker goes 1-3 last week at UFC 325. Ken Flo goes 2-1. Parker minus 1,200 and change. Kenny Florian plus $96.59. Did give $1,000 back on Rafael Fiziev. Kenny Wise, otherwise well done. You hit a parlay on Towson, Teixeira, Quillen, Salkeld, the straight on Volk. Anyway, you guys get $3,000 for the numbered cards, Ian. You get $1,000 for UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira. And I just want to preface this by saying I appreciate the heck out of you guys with the early week handicap. I know having to do this on a Monday or Tuesday instead of a Thursday or Friday sometimes is less advantageous, but we need your $1,000 in wagers, not now, but right now. Ian Parker, the floor is yours.
Yeah, last week I was a bit of a disaster. I was a little nervous being back. No, I'm not making any excuses. That was just atrocious. All right, let's get back to business here. I'm going to start off with a parlay. All right, give me Batista, give me Lord Michel, and give me what was the other one I had? Hold on, I got to check my notes.
So all I asked was, because you don't have your notes. All I asked was you to have this written down. Okay, all right.
Oh,
I don't want you to get fired 2 weeks into this return. So
I know. I suck. I absolutely suck. And I wrote the notes down. I had to switch to my phone, so I apologize.
Yeah, print that out, son.
Yeah, no, I did. I got the notes here, but I did it on my phone. All right. Anyway,
go ahead,
Kenny. You're distracting me, Kenny. No, I'm kidding. All right, let's go. We're gonna go with Batista and Lord Michel. I'm going 500 on that parlay. All right.
Okay.
Give me that. We're going to go Basharat to win and over 1.5 rounds. I will get you the odds on that. Okay. The first one, though, I'm going 500 on that parlay. I'm going heavy.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go 250 here. And then this one I'm going to really sweat. Give me the rest of what I got on the balance for Almeida and Kuniev over 1.5 rounds.
Yeah. I like
Almeida's probably going to spend a round and a half getting one takedown on that along came Poly type of shirtless man meat on Kuniev. All right. And Kenny, to your point, I do think Kuniev's a live dog here. Yeah. I do think he is potentially live. If he stops these takedowns, he's got the better striking, he's got the cardio. But those are my plays for this week. I feel way more confident and more organized. So I apologize for that. I did have it written down.
And we will call for even more organization in week 3 of this return. Ken Flo, go ahead.
All right, here we go. I'm going to put 200 on Kuniev. I do think he can pull this one off, and I think he's going to surprise people. I'm going to do a parlay as well. It's going to be for $500 on Horiguchi and Oleksiejczuk. And then the remaining 300 I'm going to put on It's-a-me Mario Bautista.
Can you imagine?
You know what? I got something here. I want to add something to the parlay. So put Horiguchi in my parlay. No, okay. Listen, are we not allowed to do that? Are we not?
Yes, you're allowed to do it, but you're on thin fucking ice, bro. I love you.
You know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I had him written in my parlay. That was the one I forgot. Yeah. And why is that not on the main card? Why is he not on the main card, Horiguchi?
He is, but your fucking signal cut out, so I skipped your co-main event pick. At Ian Parker MMA, if you want more from this guy on social media. We got to go.
Based on today, I don't think you do.
We have to go.
I'm off to a hot start. I love you, boys.
We'll see you next week. Actually, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll see you in 2 weeks, okay?
I got fired. I'm on suspension for a week.
You're suspended for a week. We'll see you in 2 weeks. There he is. Ian Parker with us for Place Your Bets. I mean, Kenny Florian fought for the UFC championship 3 times. He comes here organized. I mean, all I asked was him to write down his bets. And no, he's off next week because the UFC does not have a show on Valentine's Day. All right. Thanks to Dan Tom, Ray Longo, Ian Parker. Our live producer is the great Cody Merrill. Thanks to Nathan, everybody behind the scenes at All the Smoke Fight. Please subscribe to the Anik Florian Podcast YouTube channel where we are back and hopefully better than ever. Also, don't forget to subscribe to All the Smoke Productions, all their channels, of course, All the Smoke Fight. And we'll be back with you to see what happens between Mario Bautista and Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira. Coming up next Monday, we'll be live at noon Eastern. As long as there are no travel issues, I do not foresee any. With that, thank you all for listening, for watching. Tell your mom, tell your friends. We'll talk to you next week. For Ken Flum, Jon Anik. Until then, yo later.